Okay.
I've got Ian Black on the line from Tripoli. Libya's transitional leader, Mustafa Abdul Jalil, has ordered an investigation into Gaddafi's death, partly in response to questions from governments around the world and human rights organisations. How do you think that'll go down with ordinary Libyans?
I think it'll go down not very well, in the sense that most Libyans, certainly the ones I've been speaking to in the last few days, really don't feel very much regret at the manner of Gaddafi's death. I mean, I'd say there are two primary responses. The one, I think the more common one, is this: Gaddafi was a very bad man. He ruled this country with great cruelty for over 40 years, and he deserved everything that was coming from him. And that even extends to saying he doesn't deserve a proper burial, which is, of course, another issue that's still very much up in the air. A slightly more sophisticated reaction comes from people who say, look, you know what, it would have been better to have had him stand trial so that he could have been called to account for the terrible things he did to this country over many years. It would have been interesting too to hear about some of the friendships he developed, particularly in recent years, with Western leaders when he was sort of rehabilitated. Yes, that's a shame. There's a strand of that thinking that says he should have been confronted with the fate of his victims, the families of the women who were raped by his soldiers, or the children of the political opponents who were tortured and killed. That's a more sophisticated argument. I've heard both those, but the primary one is he deserved what he got. So I think that Abdul Jalil of the National Transitional Council is indeed responding to pressure from the West, to complaints from governments and from human rights groups that they must look into what appears to many people to have been a summary execution. But I think he's looking, if you like, outwards to the wider world than inwards to Libyan society, which doesn't honestly seem to care.
Thanks, Ian. Is there any sense what happened to Saif Gaddafi, probably the most high profile of his sons?
Saif al-Islam is a very important figure. As we all remember, he's Gaddafi's second son. He was very much the public face of the regime. He was well known in Britain, of course, the whole scandal of his studies at LSE and the money that he donated there. And then, of course, when the revolution began, he was out there supporting his father to the hilt, and there was no hint of the reformer that he had been seen as and liked to present himself as in the past. And his fate really is very unclear. I've talked to lots of people about it, and the best that I can come up with is a repeated rumor that he was captured by rebels in a place called Zlitan, which is between Misrata and Tripoli, said to have been wounded, sometimes badly wounded, but nothing has been heard of it. My own feeling is that if he was in the hands of the NTC forces, the rebel fighters, then we would have had confirmation of that. We haven't had confirmation of it, and people in the last 48 hours or so are starting to say things like he's probably escaped, he's probably in Niger, to the south of Libya, and probably with Abdallah Senussi, another very important figure, like Saif al-Islam and like Muammar Gaddafi, wanted for crimes against humanity by the International Criminal Court. But the smart money at the moment, but it's no more than rumor, is that Saif al-Islam has probably escaped. If he was in prison or if he had been found dead, I sort of feel that we would have heard about it by now, and we haven't.
Okay, Ian Black, thank you very much.